Welcome to CandleLight Audiobook. The Secret Misses. Chapter 581. Cleo shut up, not daring to say anything further. In such a situation, everything he said felt like a risk. At the other table, Luna and Mason had started to go deeper into conversation. Even though the table was quite a distance away from the Goldberg brothers, the restaurant was quite quiet, so if they listened closely, they could hear the conversation. Because he was late, Mason felt that he should explain himself out of basic courtesy to his date, thus he started, "I'm really sorry. I actually saw an elderly woman fall on the way here, so I sent him to the hospital and that took quite some time." Luna blurted, "Pfft," and could not help but say, if another man said such things to me, I would definitely doubt their IQ level for not being able to find a more sincere excuse. However, since it's you, Mr. George, then I would believe you because you do look like the kind of person who would help an elder woman cross the road and send a lost child home." Mason laughed out loud when he heard this. "Ms. Brown, are you trying to say I look like a kind person?" Luna nodded. "Not just that. Not only are you kind, you're practically at the level of Kim Tsai-zi the monk." Mason laughed at her cute description and he lowered his chin slightly. "Miss Brown, you're very interesting." Luna paused. Damn it, it was her first time meeting someone this special and she could not hold herself back, ending up spurting out such sentences. She cleared her throat and quickly got to the point. "Mr. George, I'll just be honest here. Actually, I'm not all up for this blind date, but unfortunately, my grandfather already helped me to arrange a date with you, so I had to come and explain the situation to you. I hope you will forgive me for this." Mason did not seem angry or change his expressions when he heard this. However, somewhere deep in his eyes, something seemed to have dulled. Behind her, Cleo heard Luna's words and quickly perked up his ears, regaining some spirit. "Nice one, Luna, immediately knock him out." After Mason heard what Luna said, he expressed instantly, "I understand, even though I am slightly disappointed, I respect your wishes." Luna's brows raised slightly at his diplomatic answer. Slightly disappointed? Did he mean to say that he was interested in her? No way. Nothing she wore today should have fitted this man's aesthetic taste. He was just saying it to be charming, wasn't he? It was a possibility with this type of men. So, you don't need to feel pressured. Let's just treat today's meal as one between normal friends, okay? Mason said. Luna suddenly realized that this man did not look extremely handsome, but he had a voice that was alluring and especially easy on the ears. Since he had said it that way and he was so accommodating without needing her to explain further, Luna naturally felt it would be cruel to reject him. Of course. Cleo bit sharply into a slice of salmon. Damn it. I misjudged. I thought it was a saint who wouldn't get close to women yet. He was clearly tempted by seduction. In such a situation, if he was not interested in her, he would have immediately called for the bill and left, no need for further contact. But he actually asked her to enjoy a meal together, in the name of friendship. Clearly, this guy has underlying motives. Cleo continued to insult Mason while Theo looked miserable and Little Treasure, who was admiring Auntie Luna's back, finally realized that something was odd. Why is Auntie Luna eating with another strange uncle? Little Treasure pursed his lips, thought about it, then wrote on the board, "Date?" Chapter 582. Little Treasure pursed his lips, thought about it, then wrote on the board, "Date?" Indeed, if he did not know, he had to ask. Is Auntie Luna on a date with someone else? Theo and Cleo looked at the question on Little Treasure's writing board at the same time. Cleo sighed and looked at Little Treasure with pity, like he was about to tell the kid that he was going to be abandoned by his mother. "Baby, this is even scarier than a date. It's called a blind date, do you know what that means?" Little Treasure honestly shook his head. A blind date is one of the rituals of Chinese traditional marriage. It can also be called to meet one at their door, interview, law of the play, or meet up. Most marriage introductions delve into family backgrounds and the two people will be connected by the matchmakers. After that, the older relatives from both parties would meet to suggest a matrimony. Cleo tried to explain while Little Treasure looked innocent and naive, like he barely understood. Thus, Cleo could only drop the bomb. this blind date means that your Auntie Luna is about to be taken away by another man. To go give birth to a baby with another man. Little Treasures was shaken by this earth-shattering news. Auntie Luna will go with another man, to give birth to another baby. Baby. The poor little bun's head was filled with this sentence repeatedly and without any signs. He started to cry buckets of tears and could not stop. Cleo just wanted to tease him, but he accidentally went too far. Seeing Little Treasure bawl like that, he was instantly a panicked mess. Hey, baby, don't cry. Theo shot Cleo a fierce look, then pulled Little Treasure to sit beside him, patiently clarifying, blind dates are just a way for men and women to meet one another, still far from marriage. Besides, she already rejected him earlier and she's just having a meal with him now. Unfortunately, the little bun had been hurt too deeply earlier and he could not take any more information in. He cried a river and started to gasp in between tears. Theo and Cleo were two adult men who had no clue on how to coax children at all, as they watched the little bun cry his heart out. They were completely rooted to the ground. Luna was still completely oblivious about any tear-inducing incidents happening behind her back. Earlier, she had drank 2 flasks of liquor and even though it was not high in alcohol, she was slightly drunk. Also, Mason was really too sweet that one would easily lower their guards and relax with his company. They drank as they ate some sashimi while having casual conversation on some safe topics. Ah. You're in the business of jewelry, right? Coincidentally, I've been setting up a fashion studio recently and will definitely use accessories such as jewels. When the time comes, I'll be thick-faced and ask for your help. Luna suddenly took up the responsibility as a business owner and took the opportunity to indirectly promote her business. Miss Luna, don't be too shy. If you need anything you can contact me anytime. After chatting for a while, Mason asked, Miss Brown, I don't know if you still remember, but many years ago, we have actually met once. When Luna heard this, she started to sober up. Have we? How could that be when I've no memory of us meeting at all? After all, Mason was a pretty unique person and she was confident she would have remembered him. Mason sipped on his sake and said, Your attention was on someone else then, naturally, you wouldn't notice anyone else. Chapter 583. Even if he was attractive, he was probably invisible to her. Besides, he was still a young boy from university at that point in time. Luna blinked. From what he said, he must have been referring to 5 years ago when she was in love with Liam. However, she really did not remember meeting Mason, so she was a little curious about the circumstances had he seen her in to remember it for 5 whole years. Really? When was that? Luna asked casually. 5 years ago, at your 18th birthday party, Mason answered. The cup in Luna's hand wavered. After all, that was the worst day of her life. Mason's eyes clouded over as he slowly said, You know that our grandfathers are really close, so for that birthday dinner, I went along as well. I remember, you were wearing a white dress at that time. When I saw you for the first time many years ago, I was drawn to you, you were like a natural princess. When Luna listened to Mason's description, she really did not know what to say. Princess, obviously, Mr. George, your memory is a little foggy. That dress was a fake and I was even exposed by the crowd. Mason interrupted her, real or fake, is that really important? Even though the ugly duckling was born among the ducks, she was still a swan and she would not change because of just anything. That was one of the most memorable days of his life because it was the first time he fell in love at first sight and then had to watch as the girl of his dreams get bullied while he looked on helplessly. It was probably after that incident that he had never returned to the Brown residence. When Luna heard this, she felt moved and her eyes darkened. Mr. George, you seem to know more than I had imagined. This was when Mason realized he had lost his regal posture and had said too much unnecessarily. My apologies, I accidentally overheard what they were saying. Because his gaze continued to follow after her for the rest of that night, he had accidentally overheard some things that were not meant for his ears. After he knew all of that, he felt his heart ache even more for her and hated himself for being useless. 5 years later, he was a successful person but he never could let go of what happened then, until his grandfather suddenly told him that he had arranged a blind date for him. He was going to immediately reject the old man, but who would have known that his grandfather would say that the date was a young lady from the Brown family. The most popular lady of the Brown family, Emma, was already engaged, so who else could it be? He dared not to imagine, so he asked if it was Olivia. Much to his surprise, his grandfather had said the name he did not dare to imagine, Luna. She had already disappeared for 5 years. Was she finally back? Because he had never paid attention to entertainment news, he didn't even know the most famous stars. He was much like an ignorant person from the ancient times. That was the reason why he had no inkling that she had been back a year ago and even rose to fame as an actress. In order to share common topics of conversation with her, he had watched all of her works and even read all the news and headlines related to her. All these years, he had been living the Zen life, especially appreciating the teachings of Buddha. His favorite place to go to was the temple to discuss Buddhist teachings with the masters. Even his family was starting to worry that he would become a monk. Yet, who'd have thought that at this very moment, she would appear? As Luna and Mason were reminiscing, behind them, the little devil's wailing had intensified. Cleo and Theo took turns to use several ways to calm him, but none of them worked. They simply could not coax him. Cleo was about kneel down to beg the child. He just wanted this little heir to stop crying. Chapter 584. It's no big deal. If you know, then you know. Luna carelessly shrugged. Mason's words had actually moved her a little, although she didn't show any signs of it. She never would have thought that on the saddest day of her life, on the day when she thought she had been shunned by the entire world, there was someone unknowingly on her side. She felt a rush of indescribable emotions, like she had been saved. Perhaps, this world wasn't so bad and hopeless. Well deserving of this man who looked like the reincarnation of Buddha. This level of divine intervention was definitely by the hand of God. When Mason heard her nonchalant reply, he breathed a sigh of relief. That year, I felt very regretful and guilty, that I couldn't help you. If you need anything now, please do tell me, I would cross oceans for you without any complaint. Mason was being way too nice now. She was about to hand him a card for being Samaritan of the Year already. Luna laughed, then raised her cup to his. Mr. George, you're not really Buddha himself, you know. You can't really save everyone. I never thought of saving everyone, only you. Mason blurted with a sense of urgency. As soon as he said that charismatic face of his blushed faintly. Luna was stunned, her heart skipping a beat. Something was not right. Behind them. Little treasure, don't cry anymore, okay? I know I was wrong. I won't spew nonsense again. Please, if you keep crying, I'll want to cry too. Cleo was still worried, but he heard Mason say, I never thought of saving everyone, only you, as if he was confessing his feelings to her. He was instantly dumbfounded. Damn it. You can never judge a book by its cover. Mason is pretty good at pick-up lines. As he watched his crying son and the two people opposite him, Theo felt a familiar tinge of hostility that he tried his best to suppress within him. He had the urge to destroy everything that got close to her. Mason subconsciously wanted to explain to her that he didn't mean that, but he didn't know why he changed his mind instead. He only sat quietly, waiting for the girl's response. Explain? Why would he need to explain? He had waited for 5 years for this very day. How long more did he have to wait? Luna was uncertain about how to react to Mason's attitude when the sound of footsteps came from behind her. A familiar shadow fell on the table in front of her. Then, she saw Mason staring behind her with a shocked expression. Luna's heart skipped a beat as she turned around too. She then saw the devil with an upset expression and the little bun in his arms who was crying his eyes out. Luna was confused. Why would Theo and little treasure appear here? The both of them stood there, the big one in silence while the little one cried his heart out and reached his short hands out for a hug, while she sat there with a man across her. What was he trying to do, looking like a husband bringing their kid to catch her cheating on him? Because Luna was too shocked, she froze and did not make a move to carry little treasure. When the little bun saw Auntie Luna not reach out to carry him, his little face scrunched up and his tears burst like a broken dam. He cried and his little mouth tried hard to open, as if he wanted to say something but not a word came out. Chapter 585. From an outsider's perspective, the little bun could not say anything because he was crying too hard, but you could actually read his lips clearly. He was calling "Mother" soundlessly again and again. When he read the little bun's lips, Mason dropped his cup on the floor. Was the child calling Luna his mother? How could this be? No way, it was definitely impossible. This little boy looked like he was 4 or 5 years old. How could Luna have a son that old? And this poker-faced man with a suppressing aura around him looked familiar. Where did he see him before? Luna also seemed very shocked. Could they have mistaken her for someone else? As these thoughts flew across Mason's mind, Luna stood up and quickly took the boy from Theo's embrace, coaxing him like her beloved baby. Baby, don't cry, don't cry. I'm sorry, it's all my fault, don't cry, okay? Mason's face went instantly pale. In the next second, he met the gaze of the man's cold eyes. The man's eyes were clearly filled with an instinct to attack any stranger who has invaded his possessions. However, when he looked at Luna again, his icy gaze melted into a warm river. This man and Luna, what could their relationship be? Could it be that Luna had already gotten married and given birth 5 years ago? No, no way, Luna was still so young 5 years ago. What was going on then? Mason was officially confused. At that moment, Luna's entire focus was on the crying little bun. She did not have the time to care about Theo and Mason, so she did not notice Mason's incredulous expressions of speculation. Because this scene was drawing so much attention with 2 tensed men, a woman and a crying child, very soon more and more people started to look over. I'm sorry, Mr. George, I have to make a move first. Luna carried the little bun and left the restaurant in a rush. Because the little bun crying had caused her to panic, she had even forgotten to take her bag and handphone. Theo carefully helped her gather everything, then followed her and even settled the bill for their table. Mason remained at the same spot for a few seconds before running after them. Outside, Luna carried the little boy and stood on the pavement. The night was cold outside and the man took his blazer off to put it on her shoulders. The 3 of them looked like they were in perfect harmony with no space for anyone to cut in. Luna really tried hard to console little Treasure until the little bun was finally calmer. Because he had cried so hard earlier, he kept hiccuping, so Luna gently patted his back and tenderly kissed his cheek to continue reassuring him. Why were you and little Treasure here? Luna asked Theo when little Treasure was much better. Little Treasure missed you, so I brought him here to see you, Theo lied smoothly without any change in expression. The truth was that he obviously brought little Treasure over. When Luna heard this, she felt even more guilty. All the while, little Treasure didn't appear because he was sitting behind, silently watching her from afar. Was he crying so sadly because he saw her having dinner with another man and thought that she was going to be taken away? Luna naturally thought of this as the reason he was crying. Theo saw Luna's expression and knew that she believed him, so he breathed a sigh of relief. Otherwise, if she knew that he had brought little Treasure out himself and that the little bun had only cried after Cleo's nonsense, the consequence would be. Chapter 586. Otherwise, if she knew that he had brought little Treasure out by himself and that the little bun had only cried after hearing Cleo's nonsensical words, the consequences would be dire. Even though little Treasure had unleashed his killer move, there were far too many elements that were out of his control, such as today's situation. Initially he intended to bring little Treasure to use only when necessary, but who'd have thought that Cleo's single sentence would have made him completely lose control. Thankfully, it did not cause too much of an issue in the end and basically, everything was still within his plans. After Luna finished questioning Theo, she noticed someone behind her. Then, she saw Mason, who had followed them out, stand quietly a few steps away from them. She was not sure how long he had been standing there for. Looking at the lonely and bewitched Mason, who looked as pale as a sheet of paper, Luna's heart tightened a little and a bad feeling rose from the pit of her stomach. Even though she had roughly guessed that Mason might be interested in her during their dinner, she seemed to have underestimated his determination and feelings for her. That expression did not seem like he was only meeting someone from the past who he once liked. It seemed more like he had liked her for all those years. But she could not fathom it. What occurred 5 years ago was a very brief meeting. Rationally, Mason couldn't have developed such strong feelings for her, could he? However, no matter what it was, the reality was there before her eyes. In that case, this was trouble now. Even though it had been just a short interaction over dinner, she could see that Mason was indeed a good man. Plus, this was grandfather's best friend's grandson, and if she did not handle this well, it would turn out to be a very sticky situation later. Thus, she absolutely had to get to the root of it today and completely shatter any fantasy ideas he might have. As she thought about this, Luna gathered her courage to make a decision. Hold on for a little while. Cleo went to get the car. Theo stood where the wind blew from, using his tall and built figure to block Luna and Little Treasure from the blustery weather. Luna's eyes squinted and she suddenly looked deeply into Theo's eyes. Theo. Her gaze was so intense in that instant that Theo felt his heart shiver. What is it? Luna stared at him unblinking, her gaze seeming as if it could see through his heart. Actually, Little Treasure didn't want to come tonight, did he? Did you bring him here by yourself? Theo was speechless. He was just being thankful earlier that his plan was flawless, but now, he was about to be exposed. Theo quickly thought of a plan to respond to this. Yet, he never would have thought that at that very moment, Luna, who was interrogating him, would suddenly tiptoe and kiss his lips. Theo was mind blown. His head was a blank void, he did not know anything anymore. Luna. What was she doing? He could still see the girl's long eyelashes up close and taste the fragrance of the liquor lingering on her soft lips. Everything felt surreal, like a dream. No, even in his wildest dreams, never would he have dared to imagine such a crazy moment. Oh, no one could tell when Cleo had driven the car over, but the moment he lowered the car window, this scene unfolded in front of him. He was so agitated that he almost mistook the accelerator as the brake. Awea. What was happening? Why was it that he had gone to get the car and left for a few minutes, only to return to a world he did not understand? Chapter 587. Why is Luna kissing my brother? No. That's not the main point. The main point was, from the looks of the situation, it was Luna who had taken the initiative. It was possible that his brother had gotten too jealous and couldn't help but to steal a kiss from her, but based on the current situation, it was simply illogical. After Luna left Theo's lips, she looked at Mason. Then, she looked at Theo, and with her smiling eyes that shone like the blanket of stars above them, she tilted her head to the side and teased Theo. Jealous? It was completely the tone of a girlfriend teasing her boyfriend. With Theo still looking at her, stunned, Luna smiled and continued, I already told you that the person I like is you. Upon hearing her shocking words, Cleo felt thoroughly confused by the progress of the plot. When Theo listened to those beautiful words she had just uttered, he looked into the girl's love-filled eyes and his arm grabbed the girl tightly in his embrace. He covered her lips again and sank deeper into the kiss this time. At that very moment, even though he knew there was practically a cliff in front of him, he was willing to jump off it without hesitation. Only until Luna was almost suffocating did the kiss finally end. She secretly looked over Theo's shoulder and peeked behind him. Mason was nowhere to be found. Luna silently sighed to herself. Even though she felt bad, this was the best solution she could think of for the both of them. Now that the matter with Mason was finally resolved, of course what followed was very important. She still had to explain the situation properly to the devil. The two were surprised to feel something soft bump against both of them, again and again. A little head popped out in between them. It was Little Treasure. This was when Luna noticed that she was still carrying Little Treasure, and she quickly wriggled out of the tight embrace she was in. Hey, Theo, you're squashing Little Treasure. Damn it. Just when she thought of how to make Mason give up hope, she had actually forgotten that Little Treasure was here, and she even did such child-unfriendly things in front of him. When he heard what Luna said and peered at his son caught in between them, Theo woke up from his daze. The little bun puffed up his cheeks and looked at his father angrily. This was too much. Not only did his father get a kiss from Auntie Luna, he even got a hug from her. However, even though he felt annoyed, it seemed like he wasn't that angry. Because if Auntie Luna likes father, then she can continue to be his Auntie Luna. No wait, it'll be Mummy Luna. As he thought about this, Little Treasure decided to temporarily forgive his father. After Theo released her, Luna put Little Treasure down, then stood up straight and bowed at a 90-degree angle. Sorry, big boss. I didn't mean to violate you. I'm ordered to avoid any more unnecessary hassle in the future. I wanted to let Mason give up hope, and in a moment of desperation, I kissed you and even said those words. I'm really sorry. In the car, Cleo was officially dumbfounded. What a roller coaster of a plot. He suddenly felt very bad for his brother. Just moments before, he had thought that Luna liked him, and then suddenly, the truth smashed his fantasy into smithereens. At that moment, Theo looked at Luna quietly without saying anything. Seeing that Theo was silent, Luna suddenly felt a little guilty. The devil wasn't angry, was he? Actually, the reason she dared to do what she did was because she believed that Theo had a level of IQ which would definitely enable him to understand her reasons immediately and even accommodate her. Chapter 588. Luna would only dare to do so because she believed that Theo had a level of IQ which would definitely enable him to understand her reasons immediately and even accommodate her. At last, the devil indeed cooperated well, and the scene played out flawlessly. However, looking at Theo's reaction, could something have gone wrong? How tragic. Theo wouldn't have thought that this was real, would he? That wasn't like the devil's IQ. In reality, Theo was stunned for a short while, before he instantly understood what Luna had been trying to do. His feelings had overrode his rationality, and even though a part of him had known she was acting, he had chosen to believe it as the truth and let himself drown within this dream she created. After a while, Theo finally said something. He tousled Luna's hair lightly, then said, "No worries, you did very well." His silence earlier was not because he was angry at her, he just wanted to quietly remember every detail, remember her kiss, her words, and his feelings in that moment. When Luna heard his reassurance, she was relieved. However, why did those few words, "you did very well," sound so odd? At that moment, Cleo finally could not help but say, brother and sister-in-law, please take a look at me. I have been waiting here for quite some time. Do you guys still want to get in the car?" Luna rolled her eyes at Cleo, then carried the little bun into the car. Once they were on their way, Cleo smiled cunningly. "Luna, I saw everything just now. Pity my baby Little Treasure, he was about to be sandwiched." "Cleo, I haven't asked you. The more I think about what happened today, the more I find it weird. Even if Little Treasure was unhappy seeing Mason and I dine together, he still wouldn't have cried this hard. Was it you who didn't shut up and say something you shouldn't have to Little Treasure?" Luna suddenly attacked him. Cleo almost pissed in his pants and denied vehemently to save himself, "I didn't say anything." "Luna, you're blaming the wrong guy." Luna gritted her teeth, obviously already knowing that it was his fault. "Did I blame you wrongly now? I'll just ask Little Treasure then. See if I really was wrong." Cleo was dumbfounded when he heard this, and he quickly looked at his brother to beg silently. "Bro, save me. If sister-in-law finds out, she will kill me. She will hit me with as much force as she loves Little Treasure." Theo shot a look at Cleo, who looked frightened like a rabbit. Seeing as he had contributed in the past, he said something on his behalf. "Luna, you said you wanted to let Mason give up hope. Do you mean that he was interested in you?" Luna's attention was successfully diverted by Theo's question. She scratched her head and looked helplessly at him. "To be honest, I was stunned too. I do not know how Mason ever liked me. We chatted over dinner and that's how I knew that we've met once 5 years ago. But it was only that one time, there were no other interactions. Of course, perhaps I was too sensitive and overthought. No matter what it is, the point is that there aren't any more problems now. Thanks to you, big boss, thank you again." Theo replied, "You're welcome." Crisis averted. Cleo wiped away his sweat in relief. Looking at his brother's serious expression, he suddenly regained some of his energy. He thought that this time, his brother didn't perform too badly either. He did not do anything and managed to knock out a rival, and even got a kiss for nothing too. This was too much. For good things like these, he wouldn't mind complaining a few more times. Chapter 589. No matter what, the issue was finally resolved. In the car, Luna was prepared to call her grandfather to report the situation to him. However, before she called, she still felt troubled. Even though she and Mason had already discussed what to say to each other's grandfathers, what if her grandfather refused to give up? "Hello, grandfather." "Hey, Luna. Have you met up with the grandson of the George family already? How was it?" "He's not too bad, isn't he?" "Cough, grandfather, he's not too shabby. But he wasn't interested in me." Luna answered. "What are you saying? That kid wasn't interested in you?" the elder asked agitatedly. "No, grandfather, what I mean is that the both of us aren't interested in each other. Please don't try to match us together anymore." Luna played out the explanation she and Mason had agreed upon. On the other end of the phone, the elder sounded very disappointed. "How could this be? I even met up with him first. He doesn't have any disabilities and he looks like a talented young man before I was satisfied enough to let him meet you for a blind date. You don't like someone like him? Then, tell me what's your type, I'll help you look again." "I still have another old friend. His grandson." "Oh no." Luna buried her face in her hands. "Grandfather, don't. Grandfather, I really don't want to look for a partner right now. Luna, trust me, I was once in your shoes. You're at the best age right now. Now is the best time to look for the ideal man." In fact, Luna was suffering from a headache when she felt a warm presence beside her. Theo had suddenly sidled up to her and said softly into her ear, "Tell your grandfather that your boss doesn't allow you to date." Luna was astonished. She covered the mouthpiece of her handphone to ask Theo, "What? Didn't Stacy tell you?" "In your current situation, you can't get a boyfriend," Theo said without skipping a beat. Luna's eyes shone when she heard his suggestion. "Right. That's a pretty good reason." Cleo, who was driving, heard this and mumbled, "Haha, right, your boss doesn't allow you to date. He will only allow you to date with the boss himself." "Grandfather, I only want to perform well in my job right now. Besides, I'm in the growing phase of my career and our company won't allow me to date." The elder was angry when he heard this. What? Not allowed to date? Why would there be such a company with such a silly rule? Does your boss even understand what human rights are? Luna shot a look at Theo, who had to take the bullet for her. "Grandfather, everyone in our industry is in the same boat. If we have boyfriends, the number of fans will drop drastically. In fact, I've just opened up my own studio and will be very busy every day. Next month, I will start promoting my new show and I'll have to run around the country. Then, once I'm done with that, I'll start shooting for a new show. I really don't have the time." Julian had wanted to mention her joining the company, but from the way she lay everything out, he knew there wasn't a possibility. Even though he felt regretful, hearing how his beloved granddaughter had her own successful career today and was living life to the fullest made him feel very happy. Then, what's going to happen to my great-grandchildren? When can I have some? When she heard the elder's sad sigh, Luna touched the little bun's head and sighed internally too. If only the little bun was my son, that would be great. Everything would be resolved. "Grandfather, what if I got a test tube baby?" Theo and Cleo were stupefied. Little Treasure was surprised too, although he wondered to himself, what's a test tube baby? Chapter 590. Nonsense. The elder still thought more conservatively, so there was no way he could accept something like this. He was also afraid that he was pushing Luna too hard to the point that she would do something outrageous, so he quickly softened his tone. Fine, you're actually still quite young. Go focus on your career first then. Grandfather won't trouble you anymore, but there's just one thing you must promise me. You have to visit me often. This request of mine isn't too much, is it? Luna brightened up upon hearing that. Not at all. I will definitely visit you often. After she hung up, Luna felt relaxed now that she had finally resolved the matter. In front of the wheel, Cleo was still deep in shock about the test tube baby. He said, "Bro Luna, you're amazing. Even test tube babies are an option for you now." Luna rolled her eyes at him. "My grandfather wants great-grandchildren, yet I can't find myself a man. What do you think I should do then? Where are you going to get the sperm?" Cleo asked. "Obviously, the sperm bank." Cleo looked at his brother in the rear-view mirror and mischievously said, "Actually there is ready sperm beside you. In fact, the genes are of extremely good quality." Luna obviously knew who Cleo was talking about, so she replied, "Stop. This topic is not suitable for children's ears. To have a baby with the devil." Theo then said, "I'm sure that under natural conditions, the sperm quality will be better." Luna rebutted, "That's enough from you guys. I was just saying it without much thought, don't discuss it in too much detail. Little Treasure is still here." When she looked down, thank goodness, Little Treasure had already fallen asleep as a result of the fatigue from his tears. At Regal Riviera Hotel, Theo and Cleo sent Luna and Little Treasure to their doorstep. Theo patted his son's head, then looked up at Luna and said, "I'm going to leave now. It's been getting colder recently, remember to keep warm at night." Luna nodded. "Sure, I will. Good night, big boss." Theo looked at the girl longingly. "Good night." Cleo yawned. "Good night, bro Luna. If there's any more gossip from Mason, remember to share it with me." Luna shook her head in disbelief at his thirst for gossip. "Nothing goes without you." The two started to leave. However, just as Theo turned away, he suddenly felt a little tug on his shirt. He looked down to see that it was Little Treasure who had suddenly woken up and was peering at him with sleepy eyes. His hand gripped onto his shirt hem, refusing to let go. Theo was stunned. After all, Little Treasure had never shown such an intimate affection towards him. Every time he left Luna, that little guy was always doing a happy dance and could never wait for him to leave. Even Cleo and Luna were surprised too. "What's wrong, Little Treasure?" Luna asked gently. Luna knew he was looking for his writing board, so she quickly helped him take it out from his bag. The little bun was still holding on to Theo's shirt, while his other hand rubbed the sleep away from his eyes before writing on the board, "Father, don't go." These words, before Theo had the chance to react, Cleo started to wail emotionally, "Oh. Little Treasure is so warm. I want a son too. I want to have test tube babies now." At this moment, Theo felt a rush of mixed feelings watching his son's little hand holding onto him, the touching words on the writing board and his tilted head looking at him curiously for a response. Luna was already tearing up. The improvement in the little bun's relationship with Theo was something she wanted to see more than anyone else. "Theo, how about you just stay over at my place tonight? Accompany Little Treasure." Chapter 591. Cleo wanted to run around in joy. "Oh. I'm so jealous. How nice was it to have a son?" It was as though God had sent assistance himself. Theo actually took a while to react to Luna's out-of-the-blue invitation. Even though Little Treasure had always been his trump card, this was the first time the little bun had genuinely taken the initiative to help him. Was it because of what had happened tonight? Then, this was a rare case of getting luck out of a misfortune. Finally, Theo stayed while Cleo the bachelor went home tearfully. In the bedroom, Luna accompanied Little Treasure to lie on the bed and sang him to sleep. Theo sat on the other side of the bed, his sleeve still being held on tightly by the little guy. After Little Treasure had been coaxed to sleep, Luna asked, "Why don't you sleep with Little Treasure tonight?" "I'll sleep in the guest room." "We can sleep together," said Theo without a hitch. Luna was shocked to hear his proposition and felt slightly awkward. She scratched her head and said, "Ah? That would not be too appropriate, would it?" Theo replied, "No, I don't mind." Luna was speechless. The devil was getting naughty. The big boss already said he didn't mind being taken advantage of, but could she say that she did? It was a good thing that the bed was huge, so even with the little bun in the middle, each of them had their own personal space. When Luna entered the room after finishing her shower, Theo was already lying on the bed. His hair was wet and messy post-shower, while he wore pajamas and was looking at little treasure with a gentle gaze, like an ordinary father. Luna felt her heart beat faster at the sight of them together. When he heard her footsteps, Theo looked up and ordered her, "Finish the milk before going to bed." Oh. Why did it feel like Theo had two children to look after? After Luna finished the milk, she lay on the other side of little treasure. Theo turned off the light and only left a dim night light on. He lay on his side and kissed his son's forehead. Seeing Luna watch him, Theo raised his brows. "You want a goodnight kiss too?" Luna widened her eyes and shook her head quickly. She was just thinking to herself that the way the devil took such gentle care of little treasure was so charming that she could not help but to continue looking a little longer. There was no way that she would have such inappropriate motives. Theo's eyes shone teasingly, then he suddenly leaned over little treasure. With Luna's eyes still in its bewildered state, he kissed her on the lips. Luna was shocked. "Damn it. Devil, what are you doing? Didn't we already say we were just accompanying little treasure to sleep?" Theo squinted his eyes and told her, "This is my reward for helping you take that bullet today." Luna was speechless. She had nothing to reply to him. The next morning, Luna woke up in a daze and felt like she had never slept that well before. She had no dreams the entire night and her whole body felt warm, so warm that she did not want to wake up. No, she still had to wake up to make a healthy breakfast for the little bun. Luna finally opened up her eyes. The moment she did, what she saw was a bare chest. What? Damn it. What was going on? Why would she sleep so carelessly? She didn't know how ended up on Theo's side. In fact, her entire body was sprawled on him until his pajamas had been messed up by her, revealing his peach-colored skin. As for her hand, it was casually lying on his naked belly and chest. Luna quickly got up and initially wanted to move back to her own side, but in her panic, she accidentally touched Theo, in a place she shouldn't have. Chapter 592. The man grunted, then slowly opened his eyes. His eyes glimmered and her panicked and stunned face was reflected. Luna swallowed her saliva and quickly thought of how to explain the awkward situation. Damn it. How could she explain? What could she possibly say in such a situation? Even getting caught cheating with someone else in bed would not be this difficult to explain. Luna's brain was about to be fried. However, in the next second, Theo used his beautiful dazed eyes to stare at her for a few seconds, before he suddenly turned around. Luna felt like her world had turned upside down when she was pushed onto the bed before she could even figure out what was happening. The shadow above her inched closer, then what came next was a wave of warmth as he delivered an intense kiss. Luna was shocked by Theo's sudden actions. It felt as if the air in her chest was becoming increasingly thin and her brain was fogging up. The emotions and physical reactions that were happening were so overwhelming, so much so that the feelings she had suppressed in her heart were almost lured out by the kiss. She felt as if the world was coming to an end and that her body wanted to respond involuntarily despite her mind telling her otherwise. What was worse was the strong reaction from his lower torso that she could feel hardening between them. Damn it, Luna. Wake up, wake up. Baby little treasure was still sleeping beside them. Helplessly, she struggled to gather herself. Theo, on the other hand, did not. He felt like he wanted to devour her whole with that all-consuming kiss. Luna had no choice but to bite down with force, her mouth instantly filled with the metallic taste of blood. Theo frowned and stopped. Luna took advantage of this single second to push him away and said between gasps, "Hey, Theo. Are you sleepwalking?" If he really was, this question would have no effect. Wait, that did not seem right either. Shouldn't sleepwalking happen only at night? The sun was already up. The confused man started to gain clarity and said in a hoarse voice, "No." Luna blinked as her heart skipped a beat. "No?" Theo's long fingers brushed through his hair as lust lingered in his eyes. "Sorry, I wasn't clear-headed earlier. I thought that I was dreaming." Luna was speechless. What could she say to answer him? Was it possible that in his dreams, the devil actually wanted to seduce her and kiss the life out of her? In fact, the Theo earlier was really different from the Theo she usually saw. That kiss earlier was far too overbearing. So overbearing that it made her worry a little. What were you doing just now?" Theo suddenly asked before Luna could say anything. In fact, with this one sentence, he changed his position from being the villain to being the victim. When she heard his question, Luna actually felt guilty. She stammered, well, would you believe me if I said even I don't know?" Theo looked deeply into her eyes, clearly full of disbelief. Luna looked extremely sincere. "Big boss, I swear to God, I really don't know how, but we were like this when I woke up. I usually sleep much more gracefully. Whatever it is, this was an accident." Chapter 593. Luna mumbled quietly, "You did something similar to me just now. So, are we even now?" Theo gave it some thought, then he nodded, "Fine, we're even." Luna let out a sigh of relief. However, something still felt odd. This was not right. How was this even? She was the one who was at a disadvantage. Whatever. She was the one who rolled over. Had it not been for that, what Theo did after would not have happened. "Well, boss, can you get up? I need to go and make breakfast," Luna asked weakly, trying to make an escape. Theo did not act right away. He looked her into her eyes instead, staring intensely. Luna had no idea how she looked like at that moment. The girl's cheek blushed attractively, her lips slightly swollen from the passionate kissing. Her pajamas were crumpled and her long raven black hair billowed out on the feathered pillow like ink. Theo started to question how was it possible that he had been containing his wild intentions all this while. "Theo?" Luna asked uncertainly, feeling creeped out by his laser stare. Theo returned to his usual self and propped himself up. Luna shot away like a rabbit. She quickly served a nutritious spread for breakfast, then proceeded to call both Theo and the little bun to the table. The little bun looked really overjoyed today. His face shone brighter than usual and he ate a lot more than his usual portion. A moment ago, Luna still regretted having Theo stay over last night after reflecting on how inappropriate it was, but she changed her mind upon seeing how happy little Treasure was. The little bun was always top priority in her heart and nothing mattered as long as he was happy. After breakfast, Theo read the newspaper on the sofa as the little bun sat beside him and communicated to him through his writing board while holding a book from Luna despite not understanding its contents. They both painted a warm portrait together under the sun, emitting a calm aura that brought a sense of love and kinship to anyone who watched them. Suddenly, Luna's phone rang. Luna took a look at her phone and was surprised to see that it was her grandfather calling. Theo noticed that something was amiss, so he asked, "What happened?" "Who's that calling?" "It's my grandfather." Luna frowned. Did they not settle everything last night? Did grandfather change his mind? Luna chewed on her lip and picked up the call nervously. "Hello, grandfather." "Luna. I've got something to ask you." "Are you hiding anything from me?" the elder asked her directly in an oddly grave tone. Luna replied, "Ah? What do you mean?" "Nothing out of the ordinary has happened. I'm talking about Mason." Luna had a bad feeling when she heard the name. Could Mason have broken his promise and said something he shouldn't have? Impossible, he did not look like someone who would break a promise. "Grandfather, what happened to Mr. George?" "I really don't know what you're talking about." The elder sounded fairly angry as he berated her. "You don't? Then, can you explain to me why he decided to become a monk after meeting you yesterday?" "What? What did grandfather just say?" Luna was startled and she almost dropped the phone. Grandfather, what are you talking about? Become a monk? Chapter 594. Mason is going to become a monk? Grandfather, are you sure? Are you pulling my leg? Luna probed, not believing what the elder just said. Theo frowned incredulously as he listened to Luna's conversation with her grandfather. He thought that the matter with Mason had been settled last night. How in the world did this happen? The elder fumed. Why would I kid you at a time like this? That young man from the Shi family is already at the temple. He's going to shave his hair off this afternoon. Which part of this sounds like a joke? Luna was confused and she sputtered, "This is impossible. Could there be some other reason? Why would you think that it was because of me? What else could it be? He was acting all fine before he left, but he suddenly told his family he wanted to become a monk after having dinner with you. You are the biggest suspect." The elder continued, "Luna, please think about what happened last night. Being a monk is not a trivial matter. If it's related to you, how can I face Elder George at this rate?" Luna suddenly felt guilty. Actually, quite a lot happened last night. Did she try too hard to get her message clearly across to him? Regardless, it would not have reached the point that he would decide to become a monk immediately. "Grandfather, where are you now?" she queried, hearing chanting in the background. "I'm at the Fahua temple right now. Mason's grandfather and parents are here as well. Luna, please come over as I can't explain everything to you over the phone clearly." "All right, I'll be right there." After she hung up, Luna gave Theo an alarmed look. The devil's attack sure packed a great punch of destructive power. Mason is going to become a monk? Luna nodded and stood up to leave. "Yes, and it seems like it was because of me. I need to go to Fahua temple at once." "I'll go with you." "Forget it. What if he does something even more insane after he sees you?" Luna said bitterly. "I'll send you to the entrance of the temple. But you'll be late for work. Nothing much is happening in the morning. Just a meeting which I can get Cleo to attend on behalf of me instead." Theo was already calling Cleo as he said this. Cleo's cheerful voice answered the phone. "Hello, bro. What's up so early in the morning? Oh, did something happen? Heh. I can't attend the meeting later. Please attend it in my stead," Theo said calmly. Cleo's happiness was suddenly deflated. Can't you go? What happened last night? Did you and Luna? Mason is going to become a monk now and I need to go to Fahua temple with Luna." Theo's reply stopped Cleo's wild imagination in its tracks. "What?" Cleo gasped in shock. "Become a monk? Are you kidding me?" Cleo still could not believe what he had just heard. This latest development was a gossip's fantasy. Most importantly, how could he be left out in such an important moment? He quickly gave his manager a call and have him hold the meeting instead, then he sped off to Fahua temple. Chapter 595. At Fahua temple. Theo waited in the car with little treasure while Luna rushed to her grandfather. She avoided the morning crowd and walked directly to the backyard of the temple. Then she saw a familiar silhouette standing together with a middle-aged couple. They should be Mason's parents, she thought to herself. "Grandfather. Luna, come over here." Julian quickly called out to her granddaughter. "Grandfather George, uncle, auntie." Luna greeted them, feeling apprehensive. The three family members welcomed her warmly. Mother, she even held Luna's hands as if she was their savior. She gushed, "Are you Luna? You look like a really obedient and filial child. Mason has been telling us all about you after you got back." Luna was surprised by the praises coming from his mother as she had expected a good scolding instead. "Please don't be afraid, my dear. Your grandfather was overreacting over the phone just now. We all know that this matter is not related to you. Mason told us last night that he felt the both of you are better suited as friends." With a huge internal whoosh, Luna felt relieved and guilty at the same time. She was suspecting that Mason had spilt the beans about their deal, but he had not said anything and even praised her instead. Damn it. She had hoped that he was just another rich playboy since she could handle them better, but Mona continued to hold her hands as she said with tearful red eyes, "We didn't really mean to trouble you here. It's just that we've thought of everything we could, but we still don't understand why he decided to become a monk, so we asked you to come here as our last hope. From his tone last night, I can see that he really bears a torch for you, so I think he might just listen to you. Would you please persuade Mason for me?" Elder George spoke up. "Bears a torch? Pfft. I bet that boy has fallen in love with Luna instead of just admiring her. He rejected me when I first told him that I have arranged a blind date for him, but his attitude took a 180-degree turn when he knew it was Luna I was setting him up with. Then, why did he say Luna wasn't his type and that they were better suited as friends?" Mona asked in confusion. Stephen vocalized his thoughts. "Our son is a passive chap. He'd never compete with anyone. Moreover, he's been learning about Buddhism since he was young, making him even less competitive. I bet he realized that Luna had no special feelings for him whatsoever, so he chose to hide his real feelings inside." The elders started making their own assumptions without waiting for Luna's explanation. Mona agreed with Stephen's analysis. Mason might really resort to this solution after all that. It does sound plausible. Stephen said, his voice on edge, "I've been worried that this would happen one day since he has been obsessed with studying Buddhism. I should have stopped him earlier while I could." Chapter 596. As Elder George was going to lecture his son about his inappropriate words about Buddhism, he stopped when he thought of his grandson's current situation. Albeit being a religious Buddhist, he still could not accept his grandson becoming a monk. From the conversation between his parents and his grandfather, Luna found out why Mason was such a nice person. They were all kind people, comforting her instead of blaming her or scolding her right away, which was what she had expected. This made Luna felt even guiltier. It would not sit well with her if she was the actual reason Mason decided to become a monk. She was doubtful earlier, but from their conversation earlier and how they could not think of any other reason for his sudden decision, then it might just boil down to last night's incident. "Well, since I'm already here, I don't have much confidence, but I'll try my best, all right?" Luna told them. Mona was very grateful and she squeezed Luna's hands. "That's great, Luna. Thank you." Stephen's expression softened. "You don't have to pressure yourself too much. His decision isn't related to you anyway, but just give it a try." They tried to conceal their intense worry when comforting Luna since she was now their only hope left. Luna took a deep breath and walked towards the room Mason was in. Julian mumbled, "Let's hope that Luna can really persuade Mason." He was actually not confident at all. Mason looked really determined and probably nothing could deter him even if his reason for becoming a monk was related to Luna. Luna finally reached the room. Following a path of mossy green pebbles, there was a quiet yard where flowers bloomed amongst lush bamboo plants and Zen seemed to be gentle dynamic energy flowing around. The door to the room was opened and a curtain billowed in the wind. The air was silent but not stifling still, as if it was a different world compared to the outside. Luna went up to the entrance and hesitated a little, then she lifted the curtain up. Through the window, Mason sat quietly behind a screen full of Buddhist scriptures with a scripture in his hands. He was obviously very focused on going through it. Despite wearing a suit, he already imbued the character of a monk's. Luna realized that she actually felt frightened of this version of Mason. It had just been one night. How did he suddenly change into such a different person? He was a clean-cut man before, but a worldly one. The Mason before Luna now seemed as if he had lost all his earthly desires. Luna had a splitting headache throbbing. Mason's situation was much direr than she had thought. She could not back out now. She had to take responsibility for what she had done, and the people outside were waiting for her. Chapter 597. Luna took a deep breath, then walked towards him. Mason closed the scripture he was holding and looked up when he heard some footsteps. Mason's eyes were tranquil. He did not react much even after he saw who had come in. Benefactress Brown. Luna felt immensely helpless against him. He was so determined, even using benefactress to address her now. Luna pinched the space between her eyebrows, sitting right across Mason as she released a long sigh. "Bro, what are you doing?" Why have you suddenly decided to become a monk? I made this decision after quite a long consideration. If you, Benefactress Brown, are here to persuade me, you may leave now. Is it because of me? Luna asked directly. It was all my decision, it is unrelated to anyone. Luna took a deep breath and probed further. May I know why? Even if it was because of what happened last night when you found out that there's someone else whom I like, you don't have to go so far. This is too illogical. Everything is just momentary. A moment of heaven, a moment of hell, a moment of life, a moment of death. Luna was on the verge of crying. Dear Lord, can you please speak like a normal person? She was feeling genuinely terrified. Benefactress Brown, if you feel guilty, you don't have to because it truly is my own decision, Mason replied. What about your parents and your grandfather? Don't you care about them anymore? They've been with you through the years and now you just suddenly decided to become a monk and desert them? This is my fate. They still have Joe. Luna recalled him mentioning that he had a younger brother. He really had everything well thought out and was fully resolved to become a monk. My lord, Mr. George Mason? Can you please give it some more thought? Becoming a monk is not a trivial matter. 3 days. Just wait 3 more days to think it over. It's not too late to make your decision by then. Luna tried to persuade him. I've already finalized my decision. Please return now and from now on, you may address me by my Buddhist name, Yuan Qing. Mason gestured for her to exit the room. Yuan Qing, Mason. Why are you being so stubborn? Luna's eyes were burning with rage and frustration. He looked so soft and gentle but he sure was stubborn like an ox. She almost wanted to knock him out and bring him back by force. Mason still did not move an inch, sitting in his place like an old rock. Luna was already tired from all the talking but she was still not able to persuade him. Suddenly, she got another phone call from her grandfather. Luna went out of the room to pick up the call. Hello, grandfather. Luna, what took you so long? How did it go? Luna's heart sank with disappointment in herself. I'm sorry, grandfather, I've tried my best, but it's not working. The elder sighed. Well, I expected this to happen. Come back here, Luna. Luna ground out between her teeth. Don't worry, grandfather. Please wait for a little while. Go and find someplace to rest and have a meal, I'll try again. Okay, don't overexert yourself. And wait, Uncle Stephen wants to talk to you. Chapter 598. Stephen was on the line now, saying, just come back here, Luna. You don't understand Mason. While he may look soft on the outside, he won't compromise once he has decided on something. He really is that adamant. He's right, Luna. Don't push yourself too hard, we're not blaming you. It really isn't your fault, Mona echoed, afraid that Luna was putting all the blame on herself. Uncle, Auntie, I understand but I won't back off until I've tried everything I can. Let me give it one more shot. Luna's expression changed swiftly after she ended the call. Knocking him out and taking him back by force would not be the best solution. If Mason was not going to change his mind, he would just leave after he waking up anyway. What should she do? At the same time, a black car was parked under a big tree near the temple. Theo frowned as he checked the time on his phone. What's taking her so long? Cleo had already arrived to meet his brother. Theo got out of the car to light a cigarette, looking impatient. Cleo scratched his head and tailed his brother. We can't just sit here and wait. Should we go in and see what's happening? I can't. Ugh, okay, you're not the best person to go, you might make him go crazy again. Cleo mumbled. He then said, I'll go then. I'll just go and check on what's happening. It'd be really terrible if the Georges family pressured Luna and she's forced to tell them what actually happened last night. They might even force her to try and get together with Mason for a little while. This was what Theo had been worrying about. With Luna's personality, if people from the Ning family went soft on her, she would definitely try everything she could to bring Mason back. Bro, I'll go now, I'll let you know immediately if anything happens. I'll stop sister-in-law if she's going to try something risky. Cleo went in as Theo kept silent. Little Treasure poked his little head out from the car and held up his writing board. Father, is there anything that I can help with? The little guy was actually going to cooperate after what happened last night. Theo looked at his son with a loving gaze. Thank you, but you can't help me this time. The little bun looked down disappointedly. Luna went back into the room once again. After asking around, Cleo quickly went to the Zen room. Mason saw Luna return, but he remained expressionless, as if his world only consisted of him and the scripture book he was holding. There was only the Buddha in his heart, and he was completely determined to ascend towards the true meaning of Buddhism. Luna stepped right in front of him and snatched his book of scripture out of his hands. As expected, Mason was not angry and stayed calm in his seated position. Luna tossed the book away and closed in on Mason swiftly, one of her knee positioned beside his torso, an arm crossing over him and her face a millimeter close to his, nearly at point blank. Mason's eyebrows twitched ever so slightly. As he was about to say something, Luna stole his chance as she pressed on his shoulder and held him down, using her body to envelope his at the same time. Chapter 599. Outside the room, Cleo was just peeking in from the window when he saw this earth-shattering scene. Sister-in-law had actually flopped onto Mason and made him topple over. In that moment, Cleo was so intimidated that his heart almost leaped out of him. What to do, what to do? Should he go in to stop them? Oh, what a classic combination, the monk devoid of worldly desires and the wild and unruly but alluring woman. He suddenly felt that they made an oddly good match. Damn it. If his brother ever found out that he had such a thought, he would definitely be a corpse. Not only did Luna topple Mason over, she also dragged her warm and slim fingers across his brow all the way to his lips and even inched closer towards him in a deliciously slow, torturous way. At this moment, Mason was akin to a lake of stagnant water that suddenly met a storm. His entire body was rigid like a bow pulled to its maximum tension. His long fingers were balled tightly into a fist and even his breath was out of rhythm, bordering on raggedy inhalations. As he watched Luna's lips about to plant on him, he shut his eyes tightly as if in denial and tried to turn his head away slightly as blood rushed to his ears. Just as his entire being was being shaken to the core, he heard a cold voice beside his ear saying, "The bonds of the world are still there. Your 6 roots of sensations aren't pure and clean. Mason, how can you become a monk? What kind of religious life are you trying to take refuge in? What kind of monk will you be? Aren't you afraid of contaminating Buddhist sacred grounds?" Upon hearing her bold statement, Mason's boiling blood instantly cooled down, his face as pale as a ghost. Outside the window, Cleo watched, starstruck. Wow. My sister-in-law is way too cool. He would never have thought of such an ingenious trick. Thank goodness he had not rushed in on impulse, or else he would have ruined her plans. Mason opened up his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but he did not utter a single word. He just opened and closed his mouth like a goldfish. Even when he had debated with Master Xian Jing about Buddhism teachings, he had never lost, yet, at this very moment, he was utterly speechless. Because he could not control his own heart, he could not control his feelings and his desire. As she watched Mason trying to come to terms with his failure, Luna squinted and prodded at him. What is it? Still in denial? Do you want me to continue? No, there's no need. Panic flashed across Mason's eyes and he looked miserable. You're right, my 6 roots of sensations are impure and corrupted. Luna then got up and walked towards Mason to offer her hand to help him up. Even though she was aware that her trick was cruel in nature, she knew that she had to be harsh to defeat Mason in such a stubborn situation. At that moment, all serenity vanished from Mason's face. He did not know how to describe his current feelings at all. No one, including Luna, could understand why he would make such a rash decision. He had waited for 5 whole years before such an opportunity was unexpectedly presented before him. However, before he could properly appreciate it, the window of opportunity turned into a slab of concrete. If he had never had hope in the first place, maybe he would not feel such a dark cloud of despair. Even now he could still reminisce the moment he watched them hug and kiss each other, the kind of ache that tore his heart apart bubbling from within again. Then, he remembered that the man was the CEO of the Goldberg Corporation, Theo. Even though he had only met him once at the ribbon-cutting ceremony at Jade Treasury for its inaugural opening, he definitely recognized him. Had it been someone else, he might still stand a chance to compete for Luna's affections, but it was Theo. Of all people, it had to be him. Before he could even do anything, he had already lost the battle miserably. Chapter 600. Coming from a wealthy family, he had never faced any obstacles since he was young. He never had anything he particularly desired either because as long as he mentioned it, it would be his. This led to him developing a personality that neither fought nor begged for anything. Life, to him, seemed to be something that he was indifferent to. His existence in this world felt like an identity of an outsider's. Until Luna's appearance, and her appearance once again 5 years later. It had completely shattered that layer which dissociated him with the world. It made him long for something for the first time. Precisely because it was too precious, he felt intense despair when he lost it. He had thought that in this lifetime, there was nothing else he wanted anymore. When he came to look for Master Xianjing and asked him to accept him as a disciple, Master Xianjing had even agreed to help him with the tonsure of his hair because his state of mind at that period of time was absolutely void of worldly temptations. But now, because of her single action, she had completed pulling him back into this dreadful worldly realm. Perhaps, she really was his fated inexorable doom. Mason's expression revealed hints of his compromise to accept his fate. Seeing Mason's resignation, Luna secretly let out an exhalation of relief, knowing that she had succeeded. Going home? Luna looked at him with a tilt of her head. I have to go to speak to Master Xianjing. When Luna heard this, alarms rang in her head. She quickly offered, I'll accompany you. She had finally managed to pull him back after so much effort. His talking to Master Xianjing might undo her hard work. Mason wanted to tell her that there was no need, but by looking at the determination in her pair of fiery eyes, he could empathize with her concern, so he just let her tag along. In the hall, Master Xianjing seemed unsurprised by Mason's arrival. However, when he saw Luna behind him, his gaze became broody. Abbot, my apologies, this disciple of yours is not done with the worldly realm yet. My state of mind has not calmed down to a steady flow. I feel I don't have the right to be part of the monastery at this point in time. In front of the master himself, Luna actually felt slightly guilty. After all, this was because of her cunning tricks. Aside from the fact that Mason was not yet a monk, he was still at an age where, as a high-spirited young man, his state of mind was still fleeting. There were not many who could actually withstand such temptations in the world, especially if they had yet to experience them. Thankfully, Xianjing did not ask further or make any attempts of convincing him. Everything has been predestined. You may go now. Luna watched this wise old monk in front of her and felt a little curious. Was this the fabled Master Xianjing? The one who gave that jade bead bracelet which had an affinity with her? Ha! She finally met the person himself. Now, if he could help her check on her luck, whether blessed or ill, that would be great. Perhaps it was best to forget it. To let a master of his level investigate her luck was no different than asking a legendary godlike character to wipe out a small village and to get rid of minions. Just then, Xianjing unexpectedly initiated the conversation. Young benefactress, is there anything I can help you with? Me? Since Xianjing had asked first, Luna decided to be thick-skinned and just ask anyway. At most, she would just be rejected. Master, you really are observant. Indeed, well it's like this, I keep feeling restless recently. I wonder if, Master, you could offer me some words of wisdom? When Xianjing heard this, his bright eyes evaluated her briefly, then he whispered something to the monk beside him. Soon after, that monk brought over a pen and paper. Then, Xianjing started to write on the paper with the calligraphy pen. After he finished, Luna held up the paper to look and was stunned. The master had not written any words. Instead, he had drawn a flower. What could that possibly mean?